Welcome to Silent Witness Channel, and today we're going to dive into into a really fascinating investigation. We've got this stack of notes, articles, private letters. It's quite the collection.
It really is, and we're piecing together this deeply personal mystery.
Exactly. We're following a private investigator, Rose Cullen, and she's on the hunt for a birth mother.
With basically just one clue to go
The
on.
most cryptic clue,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
The three diamonds. That's it.
Yeah, and what's so interesting here is this isn't your usual crime story. It's not about, who killed who.
No, not at all. It's more about human connection, secrets.
And desperation, definitely. The choices people make and how those choices just echo down the years. It's amazing how one little phrase, the three diamonds, can unlock decades of hidden stuff.
It really digs into identity, family, love, loss, all the big things.
Yeah, the unforeseen consequences. It shows how these personal stories are tangled up with, well, bigger pressures you might not even see at first.
And right in the middle of it all is Rose Cullen, our PI.
And she's not like, the typical movie detective.
Not at all. No trench coat, no fedora. She's very real, very relatable. The notes paint this picture, her office window's kind of grimy.
Looking out at, what was it, perpetual gray.
Yeah, exactly. And she's got this sad little Tupperware box with uninspiring greenery for lunch.
While her office mate next door, Hattie the acupuncturist.
Right. Hattie's got clients lined up, probably eating something amazing.
It sets the scene, doesn't it? Rose is juggling bills, her job feels insecure, she's worried about, well,
The prospect of dying alone. It's actually written down in her notes. Stark stuff.
but that grounding, that reality, makes her work even more compelling. She didn't even plan to be a PI, did she?
No, she sort of fell into it, got made redundant from a call center job, took a course.
Got her license, and bam, 6 months in, she's trying to make it work.
Yeah, the financial stress, the personal worries. It makes her digging, her determination to solve these puzzles for other people.
hmm
It feels really important.
It's like maybe finding answers for them helps her find her own way.
Could be. She's got this quiet persistence, this knack for connecting dots nobody else sees. That's her real skill. The Cryptic Commission, Leo Foster's quest.
So this is Rose's world, the everyday grind, and then,
Then there's a knock. Crisp, sharp knock on the door. Just as she's eyeing an eclair she'd hidden in her desk drawer. A little act of defiance against the sad salad.
love it. And then walks.
This guy. Tall, really well-dressed, dark suit. But he seems anxious. There's this nervous excitement about him.
Polished shoes, apparently.
Oh, yeah. Highly polished shoes, manicured nails. Rose even thinks about her late mom's saying about trusting men with shiny shoes. Rose isn't so sure.
But there's something else.
Yeah, despite the sharp suit, he's got these really sad puppy dog brown eyes and a definite Australian accent. He just seems a bit out of place in her slightly dingy office.
Right, so refinement, but also vulnerability. And he doesn't waste time.
No small talk. Cuts right to it. I need you to trace somebody his natural mother.
Wow. Straight in.
Yeah. And it's not like a debt collection or anything.
Yeah.
It's deeply personal. The reason he's searching, it's heavy.
The deathbed confession.
Exactly. His adoptive mother, Maddie, she got really sick. And in these moments, when the medication wasn't clouding
The
things,
lucid moment.
she told him, took his hand, whispered, "You were adopted."
God, imagine hearing that.
And then just before she passed, she gave him the only clue she had, just fragments. Look for the three diamonds in England.
And Leo was sure she was clear-headed when she said it.
Absolutely sure.
Oh.
That's what he stresses to Rose. Maddie was herself in those moments, not confused, which makes the clue, well, real, credible.
That's crucial. So who is this Leo Foster?
Okay, so he was born in 1974, adopted by Maddie and Steve Foster. And here's a key detail. They emigrated to Australia with him when he was just a newborn.
So that suggests maybe not a formal adoption through official channels.
Exactly. Could have been more informal, maybe never properly recorded, which makes finding records, well, almost
It's been
impossible.
a huge challenge.
Right. And now, decades later, Leo's in England. He's sorting out Maddie's affairs, he's grieving, he's got grown kids of his own back in Australia.
And he wants to find his birth mother, not just for himself.
No, he tells Rose, I want to know the truth of where I came from for them, as much as myself. He specifically looked for someone like Rose, a one-woman band.
Wanted the personal touch.
Yeah, not some big faceless agency.
Yeah.
He felt it would be less emotionally bruising, which says a lot about how vulnerable he feels,
Mhm.
right? And how much he trusts Rose already.
It really does, and it brings up this whole psychological aspect, doesn't it? He's not just searching for a name.
No, it's like a piece of his identity is missing.
Exactly. For himself, for his kids, think about it, your whole life story, the foundation of who you are, suddenly turns out to be incomplete. Or maybe even wrong.
That's got to be massively unsettling.
It's sometimes called genetic bewilderment, this deep need to understand where you come from biologically. Leo's trying to piece that together, connect the dots between his adoptive life and his origins, create a whole story.
And Rose, practical as ever, starts thinking immediately, even though it's a massive task. She's a bit skeptical about the three diamonds at first.
Understandably, what could it even mean?
She actually jokes, maybe half jokes. Could that be a piece of jewelry? Maybe your natural mother is an aristocrat who wears a tiara. Throwing ideas out there.
Try anything.
But Leo's obviously thought about it a lot. His adoptive mom, Maddie, grew up in Essex. So he wonders, could it be her personal name for something? Like a constellation?
Orion's belt, 3 stars in a line.
That's his theory. Maybe it relates to a specific spot in Essex where she used to stargaze. It gives them something, a geographical hint, even if it's tenuous.
But the big problem remains.
If there's no formal adoption record, all they have are the adoptive parents' names, Madeline and Stephen Foster, this cryptic phrase, and whatever else Leo remembers.
It's incredibly daunting.
Rose admits later, just to herself, picking at leftovers, she felt like she'd bitten off more than she could chew. It's a huge puzzle with almost no edge pieces. 2. Following the thread. Initial leads and online rabbit holes.
So Rose is back in the office, staring at this clue. The 3 diamonds. What do you do?
You hit the internet, right? First port of call.
Naturally.
And the internet does what the internet does. Overload. She types it in and gets, well, everything. She notes down things like a Tamil folktale, a breathing technique in Reiki.
Oh boy. Yeah, the classic problem. Information everywhere, but which bit matters?
Exactly. How do you possibly filter that? Especially when you know Leo's 60 miles away, probably checking his phone every 5 minutes, hoping for news.
That's the real skill of an investigator today, isn't it? Not just finding info, but sifting it, seeing the pattern in the noise. It still takes that human intuition.
Well, her intuition, or just sheer persistence, pays off. Because buried in all that digital junk, she finds something. A real lead.
Okay, what is it?
A singing group
Huh.
from the early 70s.
Yeah.
Called the Diamond Dazzlers.
Seriously, lounge singers.
Yep. Glittery makeup and matching hype bands, apparently. Total 70s vibe. It's such an unexpected turn.
Wow. Okay, and how does she connect them to the 3 diamonds?
She finds this old newspaper article, 1972, about a London nightclub, and the caption under a photo of the Dazzlers. This is the breakthrough. It says something like, a few months after this photo, the founding member formed a new touring trio, the 3 Diamonds.
No way.
Yes, until the troupe hung up their mics for good in 1973. It's the exact phrase, linked to a specific time, right when Leo was born.
That's it. That's the Rosetta Stone moment. The abstract clue becomes concrete. It connects to real people, a real time. Suddenly, the search has focus.
Totally. It goes from this vague riddle to an actual group, the 3 Diamonds.
But there's a catch, I bet.
Always a catch. The problem is, these groups just use stage names, Glitter, Sparkle, and Gem. No real names mentioned.
Ah, so closer but still hidden.
Right. So Rose keeps digging online. And then she finds it. Another newspaper story, this time from Suffolk, 1973. The headline screams, Diamonds Sparkle for the Last Time.
Their final performance.
Exactly. It details their last gig at the Pier Ballroom in Castor-on-Sea, Suffolk. August 1973. So now she has a place, a specific place and time.
Castor-on-Sea, August 73, that's huge.
And there's a photo with the article, the trio on stage getting flowers. But the singer in the middle, she's almost completely hidden by this huge bouquet.
Yeah.
Rose notes she looks camera shy.
Interesting detail, the hidden one.
Yeah, Rose gets this feeling, this intuition that maybe the shyness itself is a clue, that maybe she's the one.
It's those little details, isn't it? The things that seem insignificant, the camera shy singer, the exact venue, the date, they all become crucial pieces. Rose's intuition here is key.
So she takes Leo's photos of his adoptive mom, Maddie, tries to compare her to the 2 singers she can see in the grainy photo.
But the 70s makeup.
Exactly. Glittery makeup and hair lacquer. Makes it really hard to be sure. Rose admits it's a long shot, but she wonders, could the camera-shy one, the hidden one, be the founder, the one who formed the 3 Diamonds?
It's a plausible theory.
And just like that, this cryptic clue has led her from a grieving son in England to 1970s lounge singers in Suffolk. It's a wild turn, but now she has a destination, Casteron-Sea.
A town of faded glamour and hidden secrets.
So Rose decides she has to go there. In person.
Yeah, she figures her caseload is pretty thin otherwise, and staring at her computer isn't going to tell her much more. She needs to be on the ground.
Good call. Proactive.
She gets there, breathes in that sharp, salty sea air, sees the darkly sandy beach, the striped beach umbrellas. You can really picture it.
And the Pier Ballroom,
Yeah.
where they played their last gig.
It's just like the article hinted, boarded up, sad and desolate, waiting for redevelopment. It's quite poignant thinking about its heyday, all the lights and music compared to now. Just silent.
That contrast is powerful. The faded glamour mirroring the faded memories she's trying to uncover. It sets a mood, doesn't it?
Definitely. And just when she's getting into investigator mode, her phone rings.
Real life intrudes.
It's her dad, Kevin. And he casually drops that Barry, her ex, has been calling him.
Oh, Barry, the one she was trying to forget.
Yep. Rose is annoyed, points out Barry has her number. Kevin kind of snorts, says Barry wasn't really looking for her, more hoping her dad would put in a good word.
Classic dad move. Or ex move.
And then he mentions Mrs. Onruti, the neighbor, her mom's best friend.
The one who takes far too much interest in Rose's love life.
That's the one. Apparently told Rose she was a fool for letting Barry get away. It's just this little snapshot, but it reminds you Rose is juggling her own stuff, her own past, while trying to untangle someone else's.
It absolutely grounds her. And it makes you think, how much does our own baggage affect how we see things, how we investigate? That advice, those expectations, they shape us subtly. Her empathy for Leo might even come from her own search for, well, for what feels right in her own life.
Could be. Anyway, she shakes it off, gets back to the task at hand,
Okay.
walks along the seafront, spots this shop, Sammy's Seaside Essentials, buckets and spades, inflatables, the works.
Yeesh.
Totally. She goes in on impulse. It's cool and dark inside, empty except for the owner, a guy probably in his late 60s, white beard, crooked smile. Asks how he can help.
And Rose is direct.
Always. Tells him she's a PI, looking for the 3 diamonds.
And his reaction?
Instant. Tells. He blushed to his temples and blinked rapidly, then total denial. Never heard of him. I don't know anything. Tries to rush her out, asking if she wants to buy something.
Whoa. Okay, red flag right there.
Big time.
Yeah.
The blush, the blinking, the sudden panic. Rose clocks it immediately. He knows the name, and he's scared. Very suspicious. She leaves her card anyway, just lays it on the counter.
That physical reaction is gold for an investigator. It confirms she's on the right track, but also that there's something more to it, something potentially dangerous, maybe.
Exactly what she's thinking. So she leaves, goes to a nearby cafe for tea,
No.
casually asks the waitress, who looks about Sammy's age, if she knows the guy from the shop. Waitress knows him. That's Sammy Taylor. And then adds, nodding towards the pier, he used to manage the old building on the pier, the ballroom.
Bingo. Direct link. Sammy managed the venue where the Diamonds played their last gig.
Yep, confirms his connection. But when Rose tries asking subtly about a Maddie or Madeline who might have been pregnant back then, the waitress draws a blank. Says the cafe's only been open 3 years. Wrong time frame.
Okay, so a solid link to Sammy in the venue, but the pregnancy angle, to hitting a wall there. But Sammy's fear, that's the big clue now.
Okay.
4, the trail intensifies. Pursuits and revelations.
So Rose is in the cafe, tea going cold, thinking about Sammy's weird reaction. And then another thought clicks.
Okay.
Something Leo mentioned earlier. His middle name, Jake.
Yake. Okay.
So she calls Leo back. Asks him, could Leo or Jake be names connected to his birth parents? You know, like a tribute.
People do that sometimes in adoptions, right?
Yeah. Leo gets it immediately. Says it's possible maybe Maddie and Steve respected his birth mother's wishes.
Right.
Or, he admits, they could just be red herrings.
True. Could be anything.
But then Rose adds another layer. Your natural father might have been called Leo or Jake. It's possible that we could find your mother by finding your father.
Ah, smart. Lateral thinking. If one path is blocked, try another. Don't just fixate on the mother or the 3 diamonds clue. Look for the father, too.
Exactly. She's keeping her options open. And while she's still on the phone with Leo, talking this through, she sees him.
Sees who?
Sammy Taylor. Through the cafe window, he's walking briskly along the seafront, talking rapidly into a phone.
No way.
And get this. In his other hand, she sees her business card. That small, blush-colored square. It looks like he's actually reading it aloud to whoever he's talking to.
Okay, that is undeniable proof. He lied, and he's reporting her presence to someone else involved.
Right. So Rose quickly tells Leo she'll call him back, hangs up, pays for her tea, and boom, she's out the door, following him.
This just got serious. A pursuit.
Yep. A tense 20-mile drive along this winding coastal road. She's hanging back, at least 2 vehicles back, trying not to be spotted. Her heart must be pounding.
Mine would be, this isn't just research anymore. This is active surveillance. The stakes feel much higher now.
The pursuit takes them inland, down this narrow side road, into a dip, and then a car park. In front of it, this really striking building.
The kind of building.
A Suffolk longhouse, old style, with diamond-paned windows and traditional shell pink walls. That's nice.
Yeah.
As she gets closer, she sees it's a pub. There's a sign swinging outside. The Garter.
The Garter. Okay, a pub.
But wait, the sign itself. The picture on the sign. It shows a leg encased in a white satin stocking adorned with a purple garter. And along the edge of the garter, Rose literally stops breathing for a second. There are 3 diamond-shaped jewels.
Get out. 3 diamonds. On the pub sign called the Garter.
3 diamond-shaped jewels. Right there.
That is uncanny. Is it just a coincidence?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it somehow connected? That's incredible. It's like the clue itself led her right there,
Mm-hmm.
but in a totally unexpected way. Wow. V, the unveiling.
Yeah.
Callie Hooton's story.
Right. That sign is just, wow. So Rose, totally spurred on by this, pushes open the pub door
And Sammy's there.
immediately, and he looks absolutely terrified, flat out frightened, grabs her arm, whispering desperately, "What do you think you're doing, following me here?"
Panicked.
Totally. But then another voice cuts in. Calm, steady. Sammy, let her go.
Who's that?
Rose looks up. Behind the bar, there's a woman, early 70s maybe,
Yeah.
and Rose just freezes. The woman has these familiar brown eyes with a puppy dog sadness.
Like Leo's eyes.
Exactly like Leo's eyes. Rose knows. Instantly, she had to be Leo's mother.
Oh my God. Just like that.
And the woman seems completely unfazed, looks right at Rose and says, "Sammy's already shown me your card. It's Rose, I believe, hired by my son to find me."
She knew. Sammy called her. She was expecting Rose. Wow. That's the moment. The end of the search, in a way.
In a huge way, the woman confirms her identity. Callie Houghton. And yes, she was Glitter, the founder of the group. And Maddie Foster, Leo's adoptive mom, she was Jim.
So the whole trio connection was right.
Absolutely. Callie, ignoring Sammy, who's practically wringing his hands in the corner, starts confirming it all. And then she drops the reason why it all ended, why Leo was adopted. "I fell pregnant."
There it is.
She tells Rose about their final booking in Castron-Sea that August, how she fell in love with a local lad. His name was Jake. He promised to stand by her, support her and the baby. He was her hope.
So the 3 Diamonds clue wasn't just about a singing group. It led straight to this love story, this pregnancy, this life-changing event.
Exactly. It's the heart of the whole mystery. But the story gets even more heartbreaking.
Oh no, what happened to Jake?
Kelly explains, tears welling up now, that Jake secretly entered a boxing tournament, wanted to win the prize money for them, for their future. But there was a terrible accident and he was killed in the ring.
Oh God, how awful. Killed boxing for prize money for her and the baby.
Devastating. So Callie was suddenly alone. Pregnant, grieving, stuck in digs in Castor, bandmates gone. She confided in Sammy. He gave her some cash, but urged her to leave town fast, because the Wheeler family would soon be putting 2 and 2 together about Jake.
The Wheeler family? Who are they? That sounds ominous.
It does. Callie fled back to her dad in Nottingham. He supported her, stood by me. But then another blow. Her dad had a massive stroke, became completely dependent.
So she couldn't possibly care for a sick father and a newborn baby on her own.
Exactly. Her dream of keeping her baby just evaporated. It was an impossible situation.
This poor woman, faced with just loss after loss and these impossible choices, especially back then with so little support for single mothers. What she did, it wasn't just giving them up. It sounds like survival.
And that's where Maddie Foster came in. Callie knew Maddie had met Steve, her husband, in Essex. Knew Maddie adored babies, but was terrified she couldn't have her own because some tarot reader spooked her.
A tarot reader, wow.
So Callie wrote to Maddie, and Maddie and Steve were already planning to emigrate to Australia.
Which suddenly seemed like the only way out for the baby.
It seemed to offer the best way out. A desperate choice, born out of love, yes, but also immense fear. Fear of the future, fear for her baby, and maybe fear of this Wheeler family Sammy mentioned. A secret she carried for nearly 50 years until Rose found her.
The shadow of the Wheeler family.
Okay, wait, let's go back to that. The Wheeler family. Sammy warned her about them. That is a whole new layer, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. Just as Callie finishes pouring out this heartbreaking story, the atmosphere in the pub shifts dramatically. A man's voice, deep, booms out of the gloom near the doorway. Took you long enough to track her down, Sammy? He disappears silently.
Whoa. Creeper vibe. Totally. Sammy lets out this A low gasp of pure fear. Callie starts visibly shaking. This guy is bad news.
What does he look like?
He's older, at least as old as Sammy, but tall, bulky, wearing an expensive coat, and Rose notes highly polished shoes again. Reminds her fleetingly of Leo, which is weird.
Polished shoes again. Interesting.
And he's sharp. He clearly knows Sammy, recognizes Callie instantly, and pegs Rose as a PI, a doot digger, within seconds. Says he followed Rose, who followed Sammy, admits he has lookouts, he's clearly in control, and potentially dangerous.
So he knows everything that's been happening. Who is he?
He introduces himself, Hal Wheeler.
Wheeler. The name Sammy mentioned. Jake's family.
Bingo. Hal confirms he's been looking for Callie for years, and he is furious. He points at Callie, voice full of menace. If it hadn't been for you, my big brother would never have gone in that boxing ring.
Jake was Hal's brother. Oh my God. He blames Callie for Jake's death.
Completely. He paints this picture of Callie bewitching Jake, taking him away from the family. There's grief there maybe, but it's twisted with this real thuggish intent.
But Callie pushes back.
She does. Finds her voice again. Says Jake wanted to get away from your family.
Why? What was the family like?
And here's the massive reveal. Callie asks Hal, why don't you tell her what your dad had Jake doing? Turns out, Hal's dad had Jake collecting protection money from the music and entertainment venues along the coast.
Protection money.
Yeah.
So they were local gangsters. Mobsters.
It sounds exactly like it. Sammy confirms it, nodding grimly. He knew all about it. That's why he was so scared.
So Jake wasn't just boxing for money for Callie?
Callie says it was his one chance to get away from you all. He felt trapped, couldn't turn to his own family for help. He wanted out. Boxing was his escape plan.
Wow. That changes the whole picture of Jake. He wasn't just a love-struck kid. He was trying to break free from a criminal life.
And Callie insists she knew nothing about the boxing tournament until it was too late. She just waited for him that night, waited and waited, until Sammy came and told her the terrible news.
So the Three Diamonds clue didn't just lead to a birth mother and a lost love. It led to a hidden world of local organized crime. And Callie's decision to give up Leo. It wasn't just about grief and poverty.
It was about protecting him from this, from the Wheeler family. She knew how far their tentacles reached. Sending him across the ocean wasn't just drastic. It was necessary to give him a clean break, a life free from their influence.
That fear Sammy mentioned. It wasn't just about Callie's shame or something. It was concrete danger. Her choice makes so much more sense now. It was an act of sheer maternal protection against a very real threat. 7. Unpacking the complex web of motives and consequences.
Yeah, understanding the Wheeler family's background really puts Callie's decision into sharp focus. She was desperate to keep her son away from that life, even after Jake was gone. Sending him to Australia was the ultimate shield.
An incredible sacrifice, driven by fear as much as love. And now, decades later, Hal Wheeler is standing right there.
Right, and in the middle of this incredibly tense standoff, Rose says something she immediately regrets. She tells Callie that Maddie, Leo's adoptive mom, only died a few months ago, and that it was Maddie's comments while on medication that led Leo to find out he was adopted and start searching.
Okay, how does Callie react?
She's shocked, eyes wide. "He's here and not in Australia," she gasps. The reality hits her. Her son is close by.
And Rose realizes.
She's just told Hal Wheeler that his nephew is in the country. Accidentally. She mentally kicks herself.
Oh no, and Hal jumps on it.
Instantly. A glint in his eye. Then what are we waiting for? He clearly intends to meet Leo now.
This could be disastrous, a reunion overshadowed by this menacing uncle.
But Sammy steps up again, surprisingly brave. Stands between Hal and Callie, basically. Tells Hal, it's nothing to do with you. The only one who has any say in what happens next is Callie.
Good for Sammy, showing real loyalty there.
He really does. And Callie, after a moment watching Hal, watching Sammy, makes her decision. She looks down, takes a deep breath, meets Hal's gaze.
What did you say?
She says, it's always been about what's best for my little boy. She talks about the clean break, how she thought her heart could only break once. But now, she says, voice stronger, now I think the time has come for healing.
Wow, after everything. After carrying that burden for so long, she's choosing to open that door. That takes immense courage. To face the past, the pain, for the sake of connection now.
But Hal's still there. Still wants to see his nephew, puffing his chest out, saying Leo needs to know who he really is, trying to assert control.
Still pushing.
So Rose steps in again, very subtly this time, leans towards Hal, lowers her voice. You might want to rethink that, Mr. Wheeler, once you know what line of work Callie's son is in. Adds almost teasingly, Perhaps he's not such a chip off the old block after all.
Ooh, cryptic. What does she mean? What does Leo do? She's planting a seed of doubt, protecting Leo without revealing anything concrete. Very clever. 8. The reunion and lingering questions.
So after all that drama at the Garter, the actual reunion happens. Much calmer setting. A London cafe.
And Rose is there.
Yeah, but discreetly. Hiding behind a big pot plant, she says. She felt intrusive, but they both asked her to be nearby.
Understandable. She facilitated the whole thing.
And the meeting itself. It's exactly as emotional as you'd expect. Callie and Leo, face to face after almost 50 years, they just shed tears and reached for each other across the years and decades. Just raw emotion.
Oh, wow. Must have been incredibly powerful to witness. The culmination of everything. All the secrets, the searching, resolved in that moment.
It's brief, that first meeting, maybe an hour and a half. Leo has to go, but promises dinner later. Callie is just beaming afterwards, tells Rose it was the most amazing feeling, wants to run straight into his arms, already planning trips to Australia to meet her grandkids.
A lifetime of waiting released, that need for connection, for knowing your roots, it's so strong. Amazing.
But the past isn't completely gone. Just as they're finishing up, guess who walks into the cafe?
Not Hal Wheeler again?
Yep, Hal Wheeler walks right up to Callie, ignores Leo mostly, asked Callie point blank, what did you tell him about his father?
Still pushing. Still trying to control the narrative.
So Callie sticks to her plan, the story she'd prepared. She tells Leo that Jake was a dear man, a session musician she met touring, that she never found out his last name.
The fabricated story.
Yeah, that by the time she knew she was pregnant, he was gone, supposedly back to America, no way to trace him. It maintains that clean break from the Wheeler family's real history, protects Leo.
And how does Leo take it?
According to Callie, he just understood. He doesn't blame her. He understands why I did what I did. It's like he instinctively gets that she sacrificed something huge for his well-being, even if he doesn't know the dark specifics.
That's incredible intuition on his part, trusting her motives.
And how? He actually seems to accept it. Still asks Callie to send photos if she visits Australia, wants pictures of Leo. It's weirdly complex, maybe a genuine, twisted desire to connect with his dead brother's son.
Or just wanted to keep tabs. Who knows with him? But Callie maintained control, protected Leo. That's the key thing, that ethical tightrope. Telling the truth versus protecting someone you love from a dangerous truth. She made her choice.
Absolutely. And then comes the final, absolutely jaw-dropping twist.
Okay, I'm ready.
Rose and Hal are outside the cafe. Hal's just put Callie in a taxi. Rose makes some comment about PI work not being like the movies. Hal scoffs, then rubs his chin, thinking, and says almost casually, as scripts go, I've had to give some thought to the irony that my nephew is a chief inspector in the Aussie police.
He's what? Leo, a chief inspector, a high-ranking police officer.
A chief inspector in the Australian police force.
Oh, my God. The son Callie gave up to protect him from a family of criminals. Grew up to become a top cop. That is perfect, utterly perfect irony.
Hal even acknowledges it, says his parents would be spinning in their graves at having a Roser, a cop in the family, especially a chief inspector.
Wow, that just reframes everything. Callie's desperate choice wasn't just successful, it was spectacularly successful. She didn't just save him from a life of crime. She inadvertently set him on a path to uphold the law against people like his birth family. That's incredible. What a testament to her sacrifice. My Ex. Beyond the Case. Rose's own journey and the nature of connection.
So the case is solved. Leo has answers. Callie has her son back. Hal has the irony to deal with. And Leo pays Rose's invoice promptly. Always a plus.
A satisfying conclusion professionally. But it seems like it had a personal impact on Rose, too.
Definitely. Solving Leo's mystery, seeing that reunion, dealing with all those complex emotions, it makes her reflect on her own life.
And Barry the ex comes back into the picture.
He texts her, suggests coffee, wants to talk in person. Rose knows exactly what that means. The big apology, the plea to get back together, go back to what was familiar.
But she's changed.
Yeah. Thinking about Leo and Callie, about sacrifice and finding truth, she thinks about all the time she'd wasted on a man who hadn't wanted her just as she was. There's this new resolve in her. The case gave her clarity about her own worth.
That's fantastic. The professional journey sparking personal growth. Helping someone else find their connection helps her reassess her own. It shows how deeply these things are intertwined.
And then, almost like fate steps in.
Oh.
What happens?
She's coming out of the tube station back home in Middlethorpe, still thinking about everything, and she literally bumps into a guy carrying chips.
Ah, a classic meet cute.
Totally. Chips go flying, apologies, a bit of rain starts, they share his umbrella. Immediate banter. He introduces himself as Barney,
Okay, Barney.
and it
Oh.
turns out he's Hattie, the acupuncturist's cousin.
Oh.
He's a vet, just arrived for a job interview, staying with Hattie temporarily.
No way. The universe provides. Right after she decides to move on from Barry, a new, seemingly nice connection literally bumps into her. Isn't it great? It feels like because she made that internal shift, that space opened up. She was ready for something new, and there it was.
Completes her own journey, in a way, finding her own path forward.
So Barney suggests the three of them, him, Rose, Hattie, grab a meal the next day. Rose thinks about Barry's unread text, then looks up. The rain's stopping. There's a patch of bright blue sky. And the narration says she was ready with her answer.
She's moving forward, leaving Barry behind, embracing this new possibility. That's a really hopeful ending for her.
It really is. She started this case thinking about maybe dying alone and ends it ready for a new beginning. Helping Leo find his family somehow helped her find her own way. Outro.
So this deep dive into the Diamond Enigma, it really takes you on a ride, doesn't it? From that one cryptic clue to this sprawling family drama, love, loss, gangsters, secrets.
And that incredible twist with Leo being a police chief, it really shows how resilient people can be and how secrets can shape lives across generations.
It definitely makes you think, doesn't it? About our own families, our own histories. How much do we really know about the stories that shaped us? The ones we were told versus the ones hidden beneath.
And what does it take? What kind of courage to dig for those truths? Not just for other people like Rose did, but for ourselves, to really understand who we are.
It also shows how tiny details, a forgotten stage name, a drawing on a pub sign, a few words whispered on a deathbed, can unlock everything. And the sheer power, the fierce protective power of a mother's love, even when faced with impossible choices.
If that story gave you chills, wait until you hear the next one. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications because we drop a new crime story every single day. Got a twisted idea or a dark scenario in mind? Tell us in the comments. Your story might just be our next episode.